Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and today I think I'm going to be starting a bit of a marathon. Now I don't know if I'll do all of these movies in order because it is 25 movies, but if you know that number you probably know that it is the James Bond series. This is the Blu-ray collection. I think I got it for about $90. So I think that's the normal price. It's got everything up to Spectre. This was released not long after Spectre. Here's where I am on the Bond series. I have seen every film up to Die Another Day. I've never seen Die Another Day. I've seen Casino Royale once. And I've never seen any of the others. So Skyfall, Quantum of Solace, Spectre, and Die Another Day are the ones that I haven't seen in this package, and I have No Time to Die on 4K over there because I pre-ordered it because even though I didn't know what the quality of it was going to be, I'm a big Bond fan, so that's why. So these videos might be longer, I don't know, because I have more to say. I have so much to say about the Bond films. I'll try to keep it under 30 minutes of video. But yeah, the first film, of course, is Dr. No, which directed by Terrence Young, 1962, and it stars Sean Connery, Ursula Andrus, Joseph Wiseman, Jack Lord, and Anthony Dawson. Now this first film in the series, of course, it's Sean Connery as James Bond, MI6. There's basically a communicator for MI6 has been killed in Jamaica, so Bond is sent in to look out to see what the hell's going on, and he ends up coming across Honey Ryder, played by Ursula Andress, and Joseph Wiseman, Dr. No, played by Joseph Wiseman, and this film, I actually went down a bit because I did try to do a Bond marathon, way back when. But for some reason, stopped at License to Kill, so I decided I'd go do it again because I didn't remember much from the rest of them. So I'm going to try to do this the best I can. But yeah, I'll try to go through the different things in a Bond movie that people expect and like my thoughts on each of the different things. Still do the pros and cons at the end. But yeah, I'll start with the cast. Sean Connery is James Bond. I'll get this out right at the start. Sean Connery is not my favorite James Bond. Roger Moore is. I think my ranking has always been Roger Moore first, Pierce Brosnan, Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan, Timothy Dalton, Sean Connery, Lazenby, and then Craig. Craig has always been last for me. I've always thought that his version of the character in Casino Royale was over the top, or not over the top, just very boring and very minute. I've never been a fan of Daniel. I've been a fan of Daniel Craig in other movies. I have. I've liked him in other films. Not that. So, do with that information what you will. Don't hate on me for just because I don't like Daniel Craig. I'm pretty sure it might have something to do with direction, but Martin Campbell directed Casino Royale, and I love GoldenEye. So, I don't know. But Sean Connery here, I think he's alright. Decent at the best. He's decent at the best. He still shows that he's in his early acting stages. Basically, he has many parts where he's a bit wooden, certain parts where it feels like he doesn't know what expression to go for. And yeah, he works for the role. Ursula Andress as Honey Ryder. Here's a big problem I have with this film. The villains the villain and the main villain, like the big bad of the movie, and the Bond girl don't really get much screen time, and you don't really get to know much about their characters, so I didn't really care about them. It kind of felt like it was just needed because all of the sub villains or the like lower level villains had been killed up to that point, so it's like, okay, let's go ahead and introduce the main villain. Ursula Andrus she's not playing Honey Rider, she's dubbed, I think. I didn't see who dubbed her. But the women in the film, Sylvia Trench and Honey Rider, are dubbed, for all I know. A couple other characters were obviously dubbed as well, but she's okay. She's there. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, she's near the top of my top 10 Bond girls. Yeah, you're allowed to think that she's the best Bond girl. You're allowed to. I just don't. Joseph Wiseman is Dr. No. He's a scientist trying to nuclear bomb whatever. He's alright too. He's just kind of there. He's very boring. He's very dry with his speech. And yeah, not really that threatening. Jack Lord was the first incarnation of Felix Leiter, the Felix Leiter character, which I think is an interesting character throughout the films, especially how he usually comes into the story is very odd. But I think Jack Lord does an alright job. He's, again, another character that doesn't really have much to do in this film. He's given more to do in films like in like Live and Let Die, and especially License to Kill. He's given more to do, and I mean, it's the same actor playing him in both of those, so it's the one time that ever happened. But yeah, I think he's fine in this film. And Anthony Dawson as Professor R.J. Dent. I like him. I think he's decently threatening. I think he works as this kind of henchman. But yeah, I get to the specific things about the Bond films. The opening title sequence, I wouldn't say it's one of the better ones. It's very ADHD. It goes from like half of the Bond theme at the beginning and all these like colored dots, which the No Time to Die opening, which yes, I have seen it. I spoiled myself. I don't care. Looks like shit. I'll get to that when I watch that movie and review it. 3 hours, really? But it's got all these colored dots, and just like in the No Time to Die opening, look, we're referencing old thing. That means good. And then it goes to rotoscoped and colorful, like, dancers? I guess salsa dancers? I don't know. Like some Jamaican dance, since this takes place in Jamaica. And then it goes to the three black dudes that are like the three blind mice. They pretend to be blind and then they're assassins, which is an interesting idea. I like that idea. I wish they did a bit more with it. But yeah, it goes from the Bond, half of the Bond theme to like a it's like a salsa, some Jamaican dance, and then it goes to three blind mice, and it's like, okay. But yeah, I definitely think this is, if I have to say worst, I don't think it's a terrible opening title sequence. It probably looked cool back then. The first part with the colored dots looks cool. Second and third part are weird. But I'd say this is the weakest title sequence of the Sean Connery era of films. Even Diamonds Are Forever, I think the Diamonds Are Forever one's better. But the what is it? Production design. The production design by Ken Adam is pretty cool. I really like it, and I can see the starting of the fantastic sets he would end up making for the series later on. But yeah, just to get into the things about the film, it's the reason I gave it a 7 instead of an 8 this time, like I did last time, I feel like this film is quite vanilla in a way. Now, by vanilla, I mean like it's very. It feels like the start of a franchise. Like it's trying to get things going. They don't know what actors to choose yet, and they're kind of flying by the seat of their pants. And to a point, it's kind of charming what they try to get away with. The base of the like Dr. No's base on Crab Key, it's so obviously a miniature, but I kind of don't care because I know how much love and passion is going into this film, and it doesn't stick out to me as bad as it should. Especially when the little radar dish comes out, and I'm just like, aw, that's adorable. Okay, here's the thing. The fact that I'm watching it in HD probably makes the models look worse than they did back in the day, like on old projectors where it would have been a bit fuzzier. Because if it was a bit fuzzier, I could see it working a lot better, and I could see it people buying it more, especially back then when you weren't having these types of movies come out. I feel like you could have bought it better. But yeah, I just think this film is kind of vanilla. That's all. That's really what I'd say about it. It tries to do the whole spy thing, and it does it well in aspects. The film does have quite a few problems, though. The editing at times is very, very choppy. And I don't know if that's chalked up to Terrence Young, because I've seen other Terrence Young films, Wait Until Dark, The Klansman, I think he did, and they always had kind of haphazard editing at points, or like dialogue replacement, which there are some scenes in this film where there's like singers at the bar at night, and they're singing jump up Jamaica, and you can tell that they've got like the guy's mouth like really close to the microphone so they can like replace the dialogue without having to match the lips, but you can also see his lips and you can see that it's clearly not him singing. And later when Honey Rider is singing Underneath the Mango Tree as she's coming out of the water, you can see that she's clearly not being dubbed in the best way, and it really doesn't look like she's singing. And of course, she was dubbed for the singing and the dialogue. And Ursula Andrus' real accent, probably they thought people couldn't understand it, so they dubbed her. And maybe her English wasn't the best back then. But still, like, even with those... and early in the film, there's a bit where a woman gets shot, and you see, like, a hard cut to when she gets shot. It definitely doesn't look the best, and it definitely hasn't aged well in the editing department, because I know a lot of movies back then would do that. Sometimes for, like, people getting shot, they'd cut to another shot, or they'd have, like, a fake gun, and then they'd cut to a shot of the real gun, and then the person gets shot. Or a shot of the real gun and then a fake gun, so that they don't actually shoot their actors. But, like, still, like, a lot of people give these like fantastic reviews to these films. This film has 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. I understand there are people that think, oh, it's a... I always wonder if it's just people saying that a movie is fantastic just because it's a classic, and not because they think it's legitimately held up. I think this film holds up okay in like the story and the like locales, because it is a pretty movie. It has some very interesting locations in Jamaica that they're shooting. But in the editing, the sound mixing, good God, at times it's horrible. Like, sound effects will be like somebody gets punched and it's like there's like a silencer that goes off and it's like that's not what a silencer sounds like. I would know. But yeah, like, I don't think it's a bad film. I think it's decent. I think it's a decent start to the series. I think there have been many better ones The first three Pierce Brosnan ones I think are better than this. And I know no one's going to agree with me on that. There are people who say, oh, GoldenEye's the only good Pierce Brosnan movie. I think that GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, and World Is Not Enough are better than this. I'm sorry to say it. I just do. GoldenEye is probably in my top 3 Bond films, so I don't think a lot of people will disagree with me on that, but still. But yeah, I just... Because I don't want to do spoilers on these films at all. I want people to go back and watch these movies for themselves. I feel like a lot of people nowadays, they're like, oh, they might look at the new movies and think, oh, this is what the Bond series always has been. Bond is found his true love. No, you have to go back to the beginning where he's like sleeping with women to get clues as to what to do next, and he's going on these to these like epic locales and all that, and I think that's true Bond. These newer movies aren't true Bond. Casino Royale like started the downfall of that, because of course the Me Too movement. You can't have a character doing what actual spies do, which is they sleep with women or men in order to get, in order to get like intel. They'd like use their charms. That's an actual thing the spies do, by the way. SJWs that don't like these movies, and they clearly have not seen the movies. They've seen clip shows on YouTube. It's like they saw a video on YouTube of Sean Connery beats a woman in a film. Oh, like, shut up and just enjoy the fucking movie. It's a movie. It's not like Sean Connery It's not like Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan, frickin' Timothy Dalton, George Lazenby. It's not like they're beating actual women. So, chill. But yeah, I think it's a decent film. I'll get to the pros and cons. Pros, I think the Bond theme is the best part of the opening. The Bond theme, even back in the day, I like the little... I like the, like, trumpet or trombone that sounds like someone's voice. It's very interesting. It's got that nice little bit of Jamaican flavor to it. Sean Connery's alright in the film. I think he was a decent choice to play Bond, especially in the first film. The film looks very nice. It has some nice shots of Jamaica and Britain as well. The action, there's a car chase near the middle of the film that, while the back projection doesn't look that good, the outside parts do look alright. Even though there are some parts that are clearly sped up, I think it looks alright. There's a nice explosion. There's a nice big old car explosion, which is cool. Get used to that with Bond films. There's a lot of cars that explode. There's like one fight scene. This film isn't like wall-to-wall action. I think the second one improves on the action a lot, but this one has a nice like hand-to-hand tussle between Sean Connery and this like limo driver that's actually kind of fun. And I think it's actually Sean Connery doing it. I liked the design of the dragon, and I'm not going to really go into detail about that. I'll just say it's a vehicle that breathes fire. I thought that was cool. I really like the set design from Ken Adam. I think it's a really nice job that he did, especially on this film being on a budget of $1 million and back in the day. And let me get to the cons. Again, I think Ursula Andrus and Joseph Wiseman just simply weren't given enough screen time to establish their characters. Maybe it's because this film wanted to specifically just focus on the character of James Bond. Maybe. But these are some of the weaker villains and Bond girl combination, in my opinion. I do think the score from Monty Norman, I can see why they replaced him. Because there are some awful bits of music in this film. There's the scene with the three blind mice trying to use their silenced pistol. They're just like, it's not broad daylight, it's night, but like anyone that drives by could clearly see that they have a gun trained on someone, and it's like, excuse me, sir. And the musical is like, and it's like the like, it's like the orchestra that performed it got like right up on the microphone, and it's like, it's pure ear rape if you have the volume too loud on your headphones or your TV. It's like really bad. And it's just straight up bad music a lot of the time. It sounds like that joke that like old Captain America serial music that's like da 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 da, and it's like, ugh, it's like not good. Again, the editing at times is very noticeable. They'll cut from one take of a scene to a second take of a scene. There's like a scene where Bond is holding a picture and he's like, who is this in the picture? And then you see his hand jut and his body like jut a bit to the side because it's a second take. And it's very noticeable. I think they spend a bit too much time on the island. Like, there's like 15 minutes of them spending on the island before they get captured, and I think the film kind of didn't have enough. I feel like this film would have flowed a bit better if it was edited down to like an hour and 35 minutes instead of the almost hour and 50 minute runtime. Because I know pretty much all the Bond films are over an hour and 45 minutes. I'm pretty sure the shortest one is Quantum of Solace. But yeah, I don't think it really needed to be as long as it was, and the pacing did sag at times. And last con, I'd say the film, there are some shots where I feel like the film is trying to hide the body doubles for Sean Connery, where like when he's in the boat and when he's in a car, because there will be very harsh shadows over his face to like hide his face, and I'm like, why are you hiding his face? It's clearly him in the car. But maybe it was body doubles, maybe they couldn't get him at a certain time, I don't know. This is like one of his first big film roles, so I don't think he would be Wesley Snipesing it like that. But yeah, I still implore you, get the Blu-ray set. There will probably be a new one with No Time to Die in a couple years or something, but this one is probably around $60 now, maybe, new. I will say my one complaint with this box set, I did have to tape it there, because this part kept, like, popping out. It's paper made. I do wish it was, like, plastic or something, because I don't really like the paper, but it's packaged like this by, like, Decades and shit, which is interesting. But yeah, I think it's a decent film. I don't think it's bad. I just think that there were improvements that could have been made. And yeah, that's about all I have to say. If you liked the review, comment down below, like the video, subscribe, click the bell. If you have any interesting facts about the Bond films you'd like to share, please put them down in the comments. And Movie Review Next Door, out.